We have full coverage of this storm for you. That's where CTV's Heather Butts joins me now. She is in Dartmouth. And Heather, we spoke to you earlier today. That's when you were at the Halifax Harbor. Clearly, we can see the wind is picking up where you are right now. Describe to us what the conditions are like.
Yeah, that's right, Angie. The wind has intensified. The last we were speaking to you a couple hours ago, we were seeing wind gusts between 60 and 70 kilometers per hour. The Halifax area now seeing a wind gust between 80 to 100 kilometers per hour. This storm is really ramping up. We're just seeing the outskirts of Hurricane Dorian as it approaches Halifax. We are expecting Dorian to make landfall around 7 o'clock this evening. As you mentioned, it is now a Category 2 hurricane, but no matter how you classify it, Dorian is a very large storm and is going to have a very big impact as it makes landfall. It's already having a very significant impact. Angie, I want to show you earlier when we spoke today, we were on the Halifax Harbor. We were right along the waterfront. Not sure you can see across there because there's quite a bit of fog rolling in with this wind and with this rain. But even through that fog, over there is the beautiful Halifax skyline. Typically, you would see it lit up with lights. But as you mentioned, 230,000 people in Nova Scotia without power. So there are a lot of people in the dark, and that includes people on that Halifax Peninsula, Angie.
Certainly, and I'm just looking at a tweet that came out from Halifax Fire News not too long ago talking about two buildings with significant damage near Tobin and Queen. The roof, we understand, of one of the buildings tore off, went into another building, and of course they're evacuating people from there. What have you been able to see, Heather, in terms of the damage so far? And as you mentioned, the winds have certainly picked up quite a bit. We're noticing it between, the couple of hours since we spoke to you when you were at the Halifax Harbor there to where you are now.
I've noticed a significant difference, Angie, even just in standing here. I have a camera operator, and then I also have someone holding on to him as well. I'm actually braced up against a railing as I am standing on top of a hill, so the winds are quite significant. They are picking up. I have not been to that scene, but we are hearing reports of a couple of roofs being blown off in the Halifax area. They are closing down roadways to the historic Peggy's Cove. They don't want anyone, emergency officials saying they don't want anyone near the coastline. Storm surge is a huge concern in Eastern Passage, which is right along the water, not too far from here. We are seeing that storm surge already coming up and onto the roadways. They have also closed some of the bridges to high-sided vehicles, the bridges that span the Halifax Harbor between Halifax and Dartmouth. So the McKay Bridge is closed to high-sided vehicles. We took that bridge to get over here. Now, the wind gusts on that bridge, the sustained winds are at 85 kilometers per hour on that bridge. And I can tell you, Angie, I did not enjoy that car ride across the bridge. The vehicle is shaking, and you can really feel that wind moving it around.
Yeah, and Heather, as you're mentioning those bridges, we now are hearing reports that both the McKay and McDonald bridges are now closed because, as you mentioned, because of those high winds. They don't want vehicles on those roadways, as you're describing what your experience has been like. Have you had an opportunity to speak to any residents? I mean, we know that they've been hunkering down for this, preparing for this, but I mean, as you say, once it comes and you're experiencing it right now, it's very, very different.
Yeah, most people are spending the day inside. I spoke with one person earlier along the waterfront, and they said they really wanted to just come out and see it. We are seeing a lot of reports of people on social media down and along the waterway because they want to experience as this storm rolls in. But again, emergency officials urging people to stay home. Flying debris is a major concern in a storm like this. We're seeing a ton of construction debris, tree branches all across area roadways. It is very dangerous for anybody to be outside. So emergency officials encouraging everyone to stay inside. And Angie, I have to say, we've been watching Hurricane Dorian come up the coast. We've been watching it for more than a week now. People know the destruction that it has caused, and they know that that is on the way. And again, Dorian is such a big storm that no matter where it makes landfall, it is going to have widespread damage along the coastline and, of course, through the Annapolis Valley with the farmers there. There's still a lot of crops out. It is going to be quite destructive.
You know, and we're seeing also now reports power outages in New Brunswick, power outages in PI as well, Heather. But we also want to let our viewers understand, you know, while you're out there, and we don't want our reporters to be in harm's way, but what are you and your crew doing to stay safe? Because you're there giving us all the coverage, but we want to make sure that you're staying safe as well.
Angie, we certainly are taking safety as a top priority. As I mentioned, I have a camera operator. I have someone behind him holding on to him. I'm up against a railing. We've actually stationed ourselves at the NSC campus over here in Dartmouth so we could get this view of the harbor and of Halifax. But I have to say, there are quite large buildings just behind us. So we have our trucks protected from the buildings, and we are keeping ourselves protected as well. We're operating with double-person crews throughout the Halifax Regional Municipality and right across the Maritime. So we are certainly taking safety as a top priority. And Angie, I'm doing this hit with you now, but if anything gets much worse, we may not be doing the next one.
No, and you know what? We need to get you back inside there and get you to safety, because I can see those winds picking up. CTV's Heather Butts in Dartmouth. Heather, excellent reporting here. Let's get you and your crew inside. Thank you for this.
Thanks, Angie. Take care.